So if you were to go to a total normal person and you were to show them this product, if they would be perplexed and questioning why anyone would buy this, you're on the right track. With my dropshipping store, my first year, I made $0. I wanted to make my firefighting salary before I graduated the firefighting academy. I've had a product hit $100K in a month with $20 selling price and $20 shipping.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ecom Verified. Here we want to make sure that you get the best information for your e-commerce brand, the best strategies to scale, ad strategies, all the stuff. And we are bringing in ecom brand owners so that you can get the best advice from them, from their experience, and then also hear their stories and everything that they have going on. So today we have my good friend, Anthony Eclipse. He is going to be walking us through his strategies. My man, thank you for coming.
Legendary. Appreciate you having me on, bro. I'm excited to dive into ecom, talk about some TikTok, give as much value as we can over this next hour.
Beautiful. Well, super happy to have you. I guess the best place to start is for people that haven't really met you yet or don't know who you are. How'd you get started at ecom? Where did you come from?
Yeah, so to give the viewers at home a little background, so my name's Anthony Eclipse, as Zach mentioned. Zach and I, we first met a few years ago, actually, at a mastermind. So I'm sure we'll dig into that at some point. But currently, we've done over $2.3 million through Shopify dropshipping over these past 3 years. And now our main focus is specifically TikTok ads. And in the process, then we've built up a YouTube channel with 60,000 subscribers, 25,000 members in a Discord. And now we're taking everything I've learned to get where I am. And I've been packaging that up in videos to help other people get started on their journey. So I think this podcast is, in line with what I'm doing. And I'm excited to go through the hour.
Beautiful, my man. And for those of you that don't, if you're a new brand owner, or if this is the first thing you're hearing about dropshipping is basically just a fulfillment method for ecom, right? So basically it's how you fulfill your products. Maybe you're not making them in-house, maybe you don't have your own supplier, whatever it might be. That's kind of what dropshipping facilitates, is being able to test new products. So it's just a method of fulfillment. Doesn't mean that it's not a brand, doesn't mean that it's not ecom. It's still just inside that realm. But why do you like dropshipping over, as far as that fulfillment method, over something else, like I don't know, like a 3PL or whatever?
Yeah, so when I first started e-commerce, I didn't have a large budget, nor did I have any of the skills. So I think if you're somebody who's brand new to e-commerce, it almost makes sense to start with drop shipping because you don't need to have inventory. You can afford to have a few products, fail because not everything's gonna be viral your first hit. So I think drop shipping is a great entry business model where you learn all of the skills of e-com, but you're not way over leveraged with like 10, 20K in inventory. You got to spend money on ads. No, ecom, you just need realistically $1 for a Shopify domain.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that's why it's a great place to start for beginners, for sure, because then you do have that ability to test things that work out, especially if you don't even know what niche you want to be in, right? Like if you're just like, hey, what do I even want to sell? It gives you a good way to test that and figure out where you even like going. So I recommend a lot of ecom owners, especially at the beginning, like, hey, start out with drop shipping. Even if your aspiration is to grow a huge brand or build a presence somewhere, like start out with some drop shipping, get all the basics down first, make sure you perfect your offering, all that kind of stuff, learn how to run ads before you're like go all in on like this is my project forever. I feel like people get too attached to things.
For sure. And I also think too, it's so much easier to actually scale up a proper brand with inventory once you've done it a few times with some drop shipping products. So using that, get the skills, and then you can transition that into something more long term, for sure.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And so throughout your journey, doing drop shipping, how many different like brands or products do you think you've gone through?
A ton, bro. I was gonna say over 20, but at this point, probably 30 or 40 different like winning products over the years. I did a little live training the other week actually with my community, and we've had, tons of examples of different products we've sold. And I think part of the reason I do enjoy drop shipping and e-commerce so much is I'm not confined to any one niche. So I've sold a lot
Hmm.
of women's clothing, women's dresses, bodysuits, pet products, baby products. Over the years, I've really tapped into so many niches where, um, yeah, it's just there's so many different results through drop shipping. You're not just tied to the one.
Yeah. So you lean much more towards like the churn and burn drop shipping style. Are there any brands that you've kept for like a long term and been like, man, I'm going to scale this one out. I'm going to keep it for a while. Do you have any brands like that in your portfolio?
Currently, no. So when I first started drop shipping, I got my first winner or two, and your head's in the clouds at this point. Like you're super bullish, you're making 10, 20, 30K a month where you just weren't making any profit. And you want to do things better. So like you buy some inventory. But in the beginning, what we kind of just talked about, I made those decisions a bit too quick, and I was left with a ton of inventory that I couldn't
Hmm.
sell. So in terms of like a stress input, like I found that building up a brand has just made me more stressful. Where if I sell a product for 3, 6 months, swap out to another one, it's just a nice smooth rotation where I don't have as much on the line as if it were a real brand.
Now there's a story about you that I'm not sure how often you share it or even if you want to share it, but there's
Let's
a
hear it.
story about you where at the beginning of your journey, you made kind of like a pact with yourself and you said, "Hey, if I make a certain amount of money or in a X amount of time, then I'll dedicate myself to drop shipping, and if I
Hmm.
don't, I'm going to dedicate myself to something else." Is that a story that
Yes.
you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, so this is going to go back to 2020. So at this time, this was when I first started drop shipping. I saw some YouTube videos and then I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to spend my time on. And also during this time, beginning of 2020, I started firefighting school. In this time, I was like 21 years old. I wasn't really making any money with my previous online businesses, and I had a lot of pressure from family, external pressure, like, your online businesses aren't working. What are you doing? Then I had friends who they were going to college and they were sort of, 21, 22 years old. They're getting like associate's degree, graduating. But here I am in my own little world, focusing on online business because I had seen what other people were achieving with it and like the lives they had. And I was like, okay, this is what I want for myself. So my first year drop shipping, I was in the firefighting academy. All of 2020, I would go to school multiple days a week, training on the fire ground. I had to study. And every other second of free time, I was dedicating to drop shipping. And my goal, which you mentioned, I wanted to make my firefighting salary before I graduated the firefighting academy. So with my drop shipping store, my first year, I made $0. I wasn't on pace to hit this goal, but literally 2 weeks before graduating, I got my first winner. It made 89K revenue, 30K net profit in just 2 weeks. So I was literally just like this close away from being a full-time firefighter. Literally from meeting you, I was this close away. Had I never met that product,
Yeah,
we wouldn't even be here today.
true. That's crazy. That's crazy. And then even before that, you had an even more interesting journey. What did you do before firefighting?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a quick recap. I'm 25 years old right now as we're recording this, and I first got started in online business at 15 years old. So I think that's something important to note for people listening is, someone may just get started in ecom now and see other people posting these big wins, and they forget that we've started our journey, many years before this. Like even for
Hmm.
yourself, like you're absolutely crushing it right now, but if you went back to when even we first met, it's just such a different level. You just compound. Your
Yeah.
skills are multiplying so fast. So when I was 15, I started a YouTube channel posting Clash of Clans, the phone game. I would teach strategy, like the best setups for the people to copy. And from 2015 to 2019, we earned over 1 million subscribers, probably like a quarter million USD after all taxes. But the last like year or two of that channel, 2018, 2019, things were like a steep down. Like I was making
Mm-hmm.
half what I was, and each month views were getting lower and lower. So that's why I went back to school, because my parents are like, you can't play video games your whole life, because that was literally my job, playing video games. So it's like I'm 20 years old, like I'm playing games for a living, but not doing as well. So I transitioned then into ecom and firefighting, because ecom, I knew I wasn't attached to it. With YouTube, you got to show up each day. You
Mm-hmm.
got to make videos. Ecom, I could, it can be midnight. It can be whenever. I can work on this store. I don't got to get the camera on, the lights, the mic. I just really like the flexibility that it provided.
That's awesome. And they actually, Clash of Clans actually even flew you out, didn't they?
Yeah, so I was one of the bigger YouTubers for this game. So they flew me out to
Mm-hmm.
their HQ in Finland. So when I was like 18, 17 years old, I was able to fly to like Finland to go to the Clash of Clans HQ. I went to Denmark to visit like the Lego headquarters. So I was
That's
exposed to
awesome.
this online business and online money and meeting different people doing bigger things at a younger age. And I think that's part of the reason I didn't want to go to school as well, because I had been exposed to making money early on. I had people my
Mm-hmm.
age doing bigger things than me. So it was like, I can't give up. It would just be doing myself a disservice if I just settled, and didn't really give this my all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dive a little bit more into the actual the
Mm-hmm.
ecom biz. One of the things that I think a lot of ecom owners miss, whether they have a brand or whether they have some form of drop shipping store or something like that, is being able to expand their products properly, and find products that are actually winners. And you have
Yeah.
an awesome philosophy for product research.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that process of finding those winners, or even if it's someone that has an existing brand that's winning, adding more products on there to get higher AOV, different things like that.
Yeah. So first, it's worth mentioning I primarily sell on TikTok. So a lot of
Hmm.
what works on TikTok is the same that works on Meta, but my
Yeah.
primary sales channel is TikTok ads. So to start with the most important characteristic, it's got to be a mixture of a problem solver and a wow factor. Like what that
Hmm.
means is if you see a video ad within half a second to 2 seconds, you know what the product is and you know exactly what it's going to do. Like it's going to catch your attention and just speak. It's going to be so self-explanatory immediately. It's going to hook the viewer in. So that's the
Hmm.
first characteristic. And a few examples of that. Honestly, it's a little haram, but my favorite niches on TikTok are like socially taboo. So if you were to
Hmm.
go to a total normal person, like your parents, and you were to show them this product, if they would be perplexed and questioning why anyone would buy this, you're on the right track. So to go a little deeper, we've seen height boosting insoles. So you can make yourself an inch or two taller. Totally ridiculous product. But this is like a 100K per month banger. We've seen beard filling pens. Imagine I didn't have a beard like you, a little patchy. I funnel it in. Just questionable products, but they do solve a problem. There's no doubt, and they're visually appealing within the first 2 seconds. And to
Yeah.
go a little further, we've seen personalized thongs. Or you can enter like a name and it gets printed on the waistband. And that was probably the most haram product. There were women buying two pairs with different names, like Zach and Anthony. So I don't even know who they're buying these for. But that's what's really selling on TikTok. So things that are slightly against societal norm, I've seen huge. And that's just the first characteristic, is that element. From there, though, we need a supplier. We need some good profit margin. Typically, you want to go for whatever your cost of goods are times 3 to 4. And with that, you want to aim for $20 profit. Like if it's a cheap product, like $5, $6 to fulfill, you want to make sure you're getting base minimum $20 profit per order, because any lower than that, you'll have a hard time scaling, just because your break even cost per purchase, if it's below 20, it's just going to be like the danger zone. And then the final element is just it's not commonly found in stores. The product can be on Amazon for sure, because as a consumer, if you see a generic product on Amazon with no logo, whack name, you would assume it's going to be inferior quality compared to like AirPods versus wireless Bluetooth LTE compatible headphones. So those are
Yeah.
like my three philosophies, is really just you need to captivate the viewer within a second of your ad and have the product be self-explanatory. Huge.
So for your marketing, I think this is kind of important for
Mm-hmm.
your marketing. A lot of people, what they do is they think of something that they think is going to be a good product, and they're like, "Man, this is going to be great. I'm going to sell this. Everyone's going to love it." And then they build their marketing strategy around that of like, "Hey, well, let's find a hook for this product. Let's find this or that. Let's find what we can do for this. Let's find where it'll be
Mm-hmm.
successful, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Google,
Yeah.
whatever." Whereas you're just looking for stuff that are they're basically their own hooks. You're looking
Mm-hmm.
for things that instead, so you're almost doing it backwards, where you're trying to find the product that you know will have a good effect on TikTok and then building a business around it.
Yes. Yes. So there's a few different levels. Let's return back. Remember when we talked about building a brand, how that's like elite, you're already like God tier if you're building a proper brand versus if you're just starting. So I would say like beginner level one e-commerce person is they should go off proof of concept. This is something my mentor taught me, is you don't want to pioneer something for the first time. You want to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see someone else in like a similar niche or the same niche doing it, and then we can sell it ourselves. So with, the products I just mentioned, these were products I had previously seen people selling, and then I'm like, oh, I know it's selling for them. We can get a piece of the pie. So that's level
Mm-hmm.
one, is proof of concept. Level two, though, is a step further where maybe we see a new product in like this insecure male niche that hasn't been sold before. That's what you were hinting on, where, okay, there's not all of this content already existing. We need to sort of pioneer it and build it up from scratch. Which, again,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a few reps in the game, you can go into that with confidence. But if you're a level one beginner, that might just be a little difficult for you to pull off.
Yeah, it'd be a roadblock added on there for sure, or at least a lot of like testing, phasing, trying to figure out, like probably you were
Mm-hmm.
doing in your first years.
Yeah,
Um,
and for you too, you see a lot being in the agency space. Like the thing I learned like with business is a lot of things are similar. Like with product research, I can find a product with drop shipping. Your product, right now you have the podcast, you've had SEO. So you've identified profitable products too, but maybe it's just a slightly different lens, which again, it all comes down to, I
mhm.
think, your reps in the game, how long you've been around and really what you've seen.
Yeah, I think that plays a huge part in it for sure. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the actual scaling part. So you
Mm-hmm.
found that winning product
Yes.
and you said, "Hey, this is a winner." What kind of metrics are you looking for to one discover that it's a winner? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you want sales, but not all sales are equal. And so what kind of metrics are you looking to see once it's successful and then you're like, "Okay, great. We need to press the gas on this."
Yeah. So with TikTok, you want to preface it's not Facebook. What I mean by
Mhm.
that, with Facebook, you may need to run a single creative for 2, 3, 4 days until you start seeing some sales coming in. With TikTok, on the other hand, you'll be able to identify if it's a winner within that first day or so. So the first
Mhm.
most important metric is you need sales within your break even point or your break even ROAS. If you're getting profits, ultimately, that's the only metric that matters. But until then, like let's say your break even point is $20, before you hit that, there's a few other metrics I gauge as well. So before you get a sale, then you'll need some add to carts. So I like to get add to carts for 1/4 to 1/3 my break even point. So typically that's 3 to 6 add to carts for every one sale. So for me, I'm like, I know I need a purchase by $20. If I don't have add to carts flowing by like 10 to 15, I know it might be an offer issue, or this product's not going to convert. And then before we even get to like $10 to $15 spent on that creative, we have our cost per click to gauge. So if my
Mm-hmm.
click-through rate is 1% plus, or if the cost per click is below $1, I'll typically let it spend until like 10 to 15 just to see if I'm getting some buyers in. But ultimately,
Okay.
profitability, only metric that matters.
And that's specifically with like a certain level ticket of product, right? Like that wouldn't be for a product that's $300 or something like that. What
Yeah. So
ticket range do you normally like to stick around?
no, I'm really happy you asked that. So on TikTok, I would say $50 and under is what you want to aim for your selling price. Like 25 to 40 is really that hot spot, but 50 is really like what I'll go to kind of pushing it, because on TikTok, they have TikTok Shop, which has crazy offers. People are used to scrolling and getting very affordable rates. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have a lower ticket product or even lower selling price and charging some shipping on the back end, that's been pumping right now. I've seen those just convert really well. I've had a product hit 100K in a month with $20 selling price and $20 shipping. Like, so people will pay some like pretty hefty back end prices if that perceived value is there.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. That's very cool. So then what does scaling actually look like? Like once you've actually seen those metrics, then what levers do you pull to kind of
Yeah.
increase that, or like how much are you increasing in ad spend? What's the process you go through?
So scaling on TikTok is going to be a bit different than on Meta. So with Meta, you can leave a single campaign, ad group, creative running for a month, 2 months, and still maintain some profits. Like, it's very
Mm-hmm.
impressive. But with TikTok, you may need to launch new campaigns every single day. So if you have a campaign that's profitable, for tomorrow, you should make like 3 to 5 more duplicates of that campaign and sort of
Mm-hmm.
create a spider web effect. Another thing to know with TikTok, your ads are going to fatigue and the ROAS will slow down after a few days of running them. I've seen ads die off between 7 to 3 weeks typically on TikTok. So on top of making new campaigns each day, I would recommend testing like 20%, 10% of your daily initial budget on some new ad creatives. And it can literally
Mm-hmm.
be the same ad, just different text on the hook. Or maybe like you swap out the song or the voice. Like, it doesn't need to be entirely new videos, just minuscule edits of what's already been working.
Yeah,
Um,
that's definitely one of the things that I've seen even with Meta this year. Like Facebook is heavily pushing towards having people do more creatives. I have a friend who has a UGC agency, and it's just been getting flooded with people that need creatives because that's what all the ad platforms are pushing towards is more and more and more and more and more creatives, adding
mhm.
new hooks, testing new this, testing new that. And that's really the main game. And I talk to a lot of brands, and I see some of the biggest ad accounts on Meta in the world, and a lot of those guys just aren't even testing enough creatives, and they're like, we don't know
Really?
why we're not profitable enough. And you're just like, well, because with how much you're spending, you need to do like 30 new creatives a day and you're doing one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
um,
Um,
so
I
creative game is crazy right now.
Yeah, ever since iOS 14, people have said your creative is your targeting. So whoever is like
Hmm.
portrayed within the first 2 seconds, that's who these ad platforms will send the video out to.
And then they get fatigued so quickly.
Yeah, no,
Hmm.
exactly. With scaling, though, we talked about duping more copies, testing some creatives, but on TikTok, I would highly recommend surf scaling. So if you're not familiar with surfing, it's where every 3 sales you get profitably on an ad group or a campaign, whether that's ABO or CBO, you can double the budget. So you can go from like 50 to 100. You get 3 more sales, 100, 200. 3 more sales, 200, 400. And obviously you need to be profitable for these, but that's been one of the biggest levers to scale high is just doubling the budget on what works. Of course,
Hmm.
though, all ad accounts will perform a bit different. So if you try to surf it and you notice performance dips, then I would just make more copies and scale more horizontally.
Beautiful.
Um,
I love that. And so now that we've kind of scaled things out, I'm sure there's other processes that have to go into even like getting cheaper prices on your product by ordering more,
mhm.
finding maybe even better producers of the product. What kind of process goes into that? Like, hey, I have a winner, I'm making a lot of money. Now I need to actually make this into something legitimate that I can scale
Yeah, so
for a longer term.
let's imagine this was like your first taste of profit. Here's sort of how I would narrow it down. So if you're hitting like 1K plus days consistently, you should go to your supplier, whoever that is, and talk with them. Most suppliers will give you volume discounts. So if you're continuing to push volume consistently, they'll, negotiate with you and get you some better rates. Just make sure though that they're not cutting corners and like cheapening the product to get you that lower rate. I have had that issue in the past. Once you get lower cost of goods, though, eventually you're going to start getting customer emails. These people expect 3-5 day delivery time. If you're taking 10, 14 days from China, you're going to get some
Mm-hmm.
emails pile up. So I would say a general virtual assistant, help with email inbox, customer support, huge. Um, After that, emails, upsells. When I first started ecom, I didn't know about like upsells, post-purchase upsells, email, SMS. And I probably missed like 10, 20K revenue on these first few winners just
Oh wow.
because of just stupid, silly mistakes. So I would say you just want to have everything dialed in. You want to take full advantage of every customer who's on your site. You want to make sure you're getting the most clicks from your ads. You want to make sure that you're getting every possible sale. So you just need to analyze that, try to figure out where your drop offs are, and capitalize there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important to do. A lot of people, they'll get caught up and then their whole business will end up imploding, and it's not because their business was bad. They just scaled it improperly. So it's important to kind of know those details for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What are kind of I mean, we're talking to an ecom group here, and a lot of, I feel like, ecom owners, they kind of like villainize drop shipping when actually it's an excellent place to start your ecom brand, right? What are
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the false beliefs that people have about drop shipping that you feel like that you've kind
Um,
of debunked after becoming an expert in it?
I think one belief to start is people may think it'll be easier than it is. If you watch a few
Mm-hmm.
YouTube videos and you see people showing big revenue, you're going to be under the false belief that your first product or like first two products will strike rich. But remember that like this business is a journey and like it's going to compound day after day. So you need to understand like your first product won't be a winner, but it only takes that one winner to change everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Other beliefs, then, some people might just like ecom. They'll be like, oh, you have slow shipping time, you got payment processing, ad account bans. But, there's always going to be pros and cons to any agency. I think if someone's hating on ecom, it may be to like fit their narrative or like what they're promoting, so to speak. But like hating on drop shipping would be hating on e-commerce. Like drop shipping is simply a fulfillment model. If
Mm-hmm.
you have like 1 month shipping time, if you're not answering customer emails, if you're selling out crap products, then yeah, like you deserve some flack. But it still can be like a very normal, respectable business.
Yeah, and as I was saying at the beginning, it's a great place to start, even if you know that you want to build an ecom brand. Like, it's an excellent way to test what's actually going to work and then what you can go with for long term, right? It's also an excellent way to even figure out what you're doing. Like, how the heck do I even scale this? Does it
Mm-hmm.
even work, etc. So that's one of the ways that that's possible, that you are able to discover that as well, is just through that drop shipping process and that trial process. And I feel like ecom owners, they're always just like, oh no, drop shipping's bad, blah, bad, bad, bad. And they're just
Mm-hmm.
different business models for the same exact thing. But you can definitely merge a lot of the strategies that both have, because you have similar setbacks. Like, so what are some of the setbacks and complications that you have on a daily
Yeah.
basis?
So first is going to be when you're scaling some revenue, Shopify is going to send you an email, be like, hey, we need to verify some documents. And it's common for them to hold 10 to 20% for like 60 to 120 days of all revenue. And that's because with drop shipping, since you're not housing inventory, you're a high risk business. So they need to make sure that you're
Hmm.
shipping your orders out and doing things by the book. So because of that, cash flow can be an issue in the beginning, like if this is your first winter. So having a credit card helps. You can afford to spend more while that money's coming in because you clearly see it like payment pending. You know it's there, just hasn't hit your account yet. Two more than that come to mind. I would say first, you just want to be careful with your supplier. Make sure that who you're working with is sending out quality product. They should be able to send you a video of the product, maybe ship it out to you. That way, you know what you're selling is actually good, because the last thing you'd want is shipping out, thousands of orders and then figuring out there's been a huge mistake and now you need to rectify that. And I would say the third issue some people may have are ad account bans. So it's pretty common for Meta or TikTok to suspend an account. And what's important is like you're not letting these setbacks get to you. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I had quit after one small hiccup, like then I didn't deserve it. But like if you do get a roadblock, because roadblocks, potholes, they will occur, you need to just like band-aid it up and navigate around.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't let it hit you while you're down.
Mhm.
Um, and trends. So there's a lot of new trends coming out, and obviously with what you're doing, and the approach that you take, being on top of trends and
Mhm.
the evolving landscape of ecom, you always have to make sure that you're keeping up with algorithm changes, new platforms, all that kind of stuff. How do you
Mhm.
how do you go through that process? And then we can even graduate into talking to some about some TikTok shop stuff. But how do you stay on top of trends? Not even necessarily product trends, but even just how platforms are working.
Yeah, so the first way is there's a lot of spy tools out there. So TikTok has the TikTok Creative Center. This is a
Mm-hmm.
tool owned by TikTok that lets you spy on every advertiser on the platform. So you're getting data straight from the source, and you can add filters there like USA, ads from the last 7 days, top 20, 40% likes, sort by click through rate. And you can even choose like clothing, female, beauty, health niche as well. And just like that,
Mm-hmm.
boom, you're being spoon fed products, ads that people have been running in real time. And then the second way is just by immersion. When you're doing something every day, you're seeing what other people are doing. You have friends above you, friends at your level, friends below you. So by having all these relationships like mentor, same level mentee, you're able to continually learn and sort of see what is being new. I think a lot of people like they forget we are at like the cutting edge. Like we're experiencing like a shift in everything in real time with AI, but even with the types of offers people run on their stores. Like if you've just been drop shipping and doing product research, you've seen more TikTok ads start to surface instead of like the boomer Facebook ads. You've seen different type of
Mm-hmm.
offers and themes appear. So by just being immersed, you're gonna go along with that shift if you're actually, taking it serious.
Mm-hmm. And then talking about new platforms, TikTok Shop. It's
Yeah.
new, it's hot, everyone's talking about it, no one knows how to do it. What's your approach to it? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
Hmm. Well, so it would depend as well if you're coming into this as someone with a brand or someone who's trying to make money as an affiliate. So, as a brand
Mhm.
perspective, you can't dropship actually through TikTok Shop. They are very strict with making sure the shipping time is within like 5, 6 days. I had two
Oh,
friends
wow.
have to refund over 10K of orders because their shipping was like 2 weeks after it arrived.
Oh,
They had
wow.
to refund all the money. Yeah, so you just want to make sure your logistics are good. If you're a brand, you can print with TikTok Shop because on the other end of the spectrum are TikTok affiliates. So a brand would be like, let's say you owned or you were selling iPhone cases and you were making videos for this. You were the one selling them out. You were the one managing the relation supplier. There's TikTok Shop affiliate though, where you would just order this case to your house and start making videos for it. And every time someone buys from your ad, the brand will pay you, and then you don't have to ship it out or worry about any of the logistics because that's the brand's responsibility. So from an affiliate perspective, I have a friend doing 100K net profit a month just by making videos of other people's products. And he is not
Mhm.
shipping them out. So from an affiliate perspective, I think very lucrative. And from a brand perspective, Definitely not drop shipping because the shipping time. But if you had something built up, it's a huge money printer. Again, there's the sheer amount of views on TikTok from organic. Shop is really pioneering it, and YouTube has integrated Shop as well. And I believe Meta is integrating like an improved version too. So it's just only gonna keep getting better. It looks like that is
That's
the
awesome.
trend.
That's super cool.
You mentioned, how do you find trends as they come? That is the trend. Like, we're seeing it unfold in real time.
Well, yeah, the reason that people like TikTok Shop so much is because, and the reason that it's working so well is because it removes so many barriers in the way, right? Because you can just buy the product directly on TikTok. I know that Instagram tried to do that a long time ago and completely failed, but TikTok Shop was successful with it in being able to keep them on their platform. So therefore, it's cheaper to acquire a customer for it because they're staying on the same exact platform, and they're able to go through the full process of purchasing without having to take them somewhere else. Whereas when you're advertising, on Facebook, you have to pull them off Facebook. You then have to convince them to buy it. And then you have to put a landing page, make sure that the landing page is actually converting, etc. Where with TikTok, you're removing all of those elements out that cause more friction and reduce more conversions on your product.
It goes further than that too, though. With Shopify, they add to cart. They got cart page. They got checkout page. And before, you would enter
Mm-hmm.
contact info, then pick a shipping page, then cart. It was like 10 steps just to get them to purchase. But yeah, TikTok Shop, bro,
Uh-huh.
so easy. Have you bought from there before? Have you actually went through the experience just to see what it's
I
like?
haven't ever actually, no, but I assume it's similar to like
Mm.
Amazon where you just click a button and it shows up in your house in 2 days.
Yeah, it's a little longer shipping, like 4 or 5. But again, to compare it to Amazon as well, since this is e-commerce, I'm not too big with Amazon FBA. I imagine you'll have some Amazon killers on eventually. But I know the fees from TikTok Shop are less than Amazon as well, which is getting even
Mm-hmm.
more people like, shit, lower fees, like easy customer acquisition. I know a lot of people are flooding there. And in terms of the
Yeah.
videos that work, the products that work, basically everything we've been talking about, if your product can be self explained in half a second to 2 seconds, solves a problem, I would say it's TikTok shoppable for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it has to do well with UGC because that's what the affiliates are going to be looking for too when they're advertising other products. They're going to be looking for stuff like that they know that they'll be able to sell easily, right? And they're doing the
Mm-hmm.
same thing as you. They're looking for products that, solve problems and that are catchy, that are trending, all that kind of stuff, to be able to sell those. So they're looking for the same exact things as you. So if your product is in that realm, like you need to be on TikTok Shop for sure.
For sure. Are you working on any shop for some of the brands you manage yet, or is that coming soon?
Nope, I haven't done anything on TikTok Shop yet. Most of the stuff that we're still doing is around Google. We've pretty much mastered Google, so we
Okay.
stick in Google Ads and SEO mainly because we work with a lot of brands that longevity is a little bit more important than even like riding the wave of trends. So we're building out longevity, and with that, that's where Google comes into place because you can build out SEO for someone for 6 months and then they'll have it for the rest of their life,
Crazy.
you know. Um, but it's a different game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's just one of the ways that I see a lot of brands missing out is they're not adapting to a lot of the changes properly. And even part of that can be in the adding new products to your product line, right? Like even if you're working on a supplement brand, like add some kind of supplement to your stack that's attractive to the boomers and that's attractive on TikTok, or not to the boomers, attractive to the people on TikToks, that's attractive to all the Gen Z
Bro, so
people.
many
That would be,
supplements are crushing on shop.
yeah, especially like all the gummies and stuff, like creatine gummies and the mushroom gummies and then this and that
Mm-hmm.
and all that kind of stuff that's attractive to people. It's so easy to do on TikTok Shop because people love it. It's recession proof, most of the time because it's just cheap, attractive stuff that people want. And then it helps you increase your overall revenue because of the deals that that TikTok is kind of giving out. I heard for a while too, they were actually like offering discounts on products and then paying the difference. Are they still doing that?
I don't know if they pay the difference, but they do. Yeah, there's always new coupons, new sales going around. Again, I just think TikTok as a whole is the place to be. I think most people should be allocating, a percentage of their money there if they don't have any yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah. I mean, just certainly in certain niches. Like if you sell, I don't know, like we have a brand that sells supplements for older women that have menopause, and I don't know if that would really
Hmm.
work on TikTok.
Yeah, like
Maybe.
orthopedic
Who knows?
gloves, a little too old. I would stay away from. But yeah, the products I've seen doing well for shop in terms of supplements are like 15-day cleanse, women's probiotics. And then the other products too, like BBL jacket. It was like a jacket that made it look like you had like a thin waist, wider hips. So the same clothing, socially taboo products, same things you would drop ship, work on shop. And if you have a product that's going viral on shop, you can just sell it to Europe because they don't have shop over there. And a lot of times that's an easy product
Right.
research method.
Yeah, and the clothing on TikTok is a good point because clothing is tough on Meta and Google. It's tough because it's so there's so many people doing it. So it's tough to actually compete in that realm. So that's a good point. If you have a clothing brand, TikTok for
Mhm.
sure should be a place that you're at. Unless you sell
Awesome.
clothing to older women, then maybe not.
No, I think so. If you go to the TikTok Creative Center, the number one niche right now is women's dresses and like women's clothing.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's got like a 6% conversion rate or something across the board, like some crazy stats.
Hmm. To finish things up,
Mhm.
what are some of the directions that you're thinking ecom is taking? Like, what are some of your future predictions
Mhm.
for it and things that you're keeping an eye out on that maybe aren't trending yet, but you're gonna jump on them once they start?
Yeah, so for me, it's understanding it really is a game of content. If you have a winning product, and as we talked about, if your ad creative is going to slow down in 1 to 3 weeks, you need to have new videos. So, like, if you can start scaling up one ad, then you get a second ad, you start scaling that up, then you get a third ad. You just want to keep the pipeline going. And I think really learning content, having good familiarity with hooks, with the sounds that are trending, the music, understanding AI voices, understanding CapCut. I would say CapCut is like the new Canva. So like, I grew up on Photoshop. That's like hardcore. But then when I get into ecom, everyone uses Canva. And I think CapCut, just that editing, it's sort of like Canva 2.0, where you can
Hmm.
make so many clips, you can make it feel like a TikTok. They have so many presets. So I really think short form content, implementing AI, just the modern video editing software is what's going to propel some brands, just having that relatability factor.
Beautiful. Awesome, Anthony. Thank you so much for that. Just as kind of like a last farewell, what do you, for anyone that wants to follow you or wants more information on drop shipping, where can they find you? What resources do you have available for
Mhm.
them?
Yeah, so the best spot is to go to YouTube and type Anthony Eclipse. We've posted a video every week for the last 2 years. I don't think we've skipped a beat. On there, we have everything from like hour-long step-by-step guides, winning product videos. We have challenges like 5-day challenges, 3-day. I really take you all behind the scenes. Like some videos, I build stores. You see in my ad accounts, the profit loss. So the YouTube's really the best spot to go. And through that, it can, funnel you into like my Twitter or the Discord, or if you wanted to go anywhere else.
Beautiful. I love that, my man. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you. Thank you guys all for listening. I hope you found this valuable for you, for your ecom store. Once again, this is verified information directly to you so that you don't have to sift through all the crap and you get it directly from the ecom founders. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and we will see you on the next one.